I think many in India would actually love you after that. So somebody wants to be a mango. That's great. I want to be kind and self-confidence person. Beautiful. Water, gets a universal solvent, a good human being. Beautiful. We all have some aspirations. Some are, for fun and humor, and some are genuinely we all aim towards. So that's beautiful. And thank you all of you for sharing your insights. We'll go ahead, and I would love to know from all of you today and after this, the first question, that how do you feel today? So if I have to ask you in the form of an emoji, that what is your mood today, that kind of thing, then what is the emoji you would love to share with me? If I have to ask you that what is your mood today? Oh, Saima, I'm scared. Sunita and Paramjeet are giving me some good sir. So you people should write your original names next time so that I'm not talking about these names. Okay, Samir is feeling blessed. Samiran, Aisha. Okay, so we have Reena. Reena, I hope by end of the session you feel happy and glad. Tanu is like, all eyes, good, full energy, and he's also feeling excited. I need emojis. Oh, Abhiya, sleepy. I was feeling the same. Weekends are for that. Exhausted. I would love you to pick up an emoji that represents it so that I can think. Pooja is still in the thoughts. Great. So you all have some interesting insights and interesting moods that you are coming across. Now, and that's at least I know I have done a mood check. And some of you who are feeling sleepy and sad, I hope I'm able to wake you up by end of the day, or by end of the session, or by end of the day, and you feel excited. And I will ask a repetitive emoji by end of the session. Now, I would love to talk about and ask you that what was the time when you enjoyed learning the most as a student? When was the time that you felt that, okay, this learning is fun? Or did you ever enjoy learning as a student? Just tell me. College time. Okay, Charu. In grade 5 at school, self studies only. Only in PT class, okay? Grade 8 to 10, I think we were in lab activities. Kindergarten, Soumya, you remember your kindergarten days? I don't have much memories there. Ashwini has 11th and 12th. Okay. So you have, so you have some credit given to teachers. The PT periods, a lot of people actually enjoyed it. Even I think I was very happy. I was happy in my school time actually. And grade 8 social studies class, beautiful. So we have anytime you're learning something new, that's great. I think the school time, we all had some of the times in school that we were feeling happy. That's great. And when I and today's topic, we want to talk about the happy classrooms. We want to talk about the stress and teachers. We want to talk about the mindfulness. We want to talk about a lot of stuff actually. Now, why a classroom is more than just smiles is something that I would love to understand. I would love to talk with all of you. It's more than just smiles. A happy classroom, when a happy classroom is there, the children feel supported, the children feel loved, and the children want to visit the classroom, and children want to be in the classroom with the teacher. And it creates an environment which is genuinely positive and emotional for students. And I've seen, specifically in the kindergarten classes, and you say, good morning, students. Welcome, students. Come back to the class. Hi, everyone. How are you? And then when I'm observing certain classes in senior grades, okay, and then there's my teacher, and no complaints for anyone, but then there's a teacher who will pick up a notebook and will enter into the classroom. Okay, I want all of you to open your math textbook, page number 67, exercise number 7.1, question number 3. Start, doing question number 4. Let's start from there, and then that's the class. But not to say that the classes are not effective, but the classes don't seem a bit happy to me at that moment when I'm directed to do a question right away. So today we are going to talk about not to make how your class is engaging or fun, but talking about the emotions that we all come across as a person and our students are coming across in day-to-day life. And maybe by end of the day, I can give you some tips that you can carry with yourself that can add more happiness to your life. Now, that's an interesting question. Now, what is happiness when we talk about it, being happy? I will just tell you an interesting incident. So one of my friend was sharing with me. Now this person is very, more like a nomad Banjara type ka insan. So he was moving around, and then he went ahead and sat with with the cobbler, मोची वही मोची के पास जाके बैठ गए sat with the cobbler. एंड उन्होंने मोची से बोला कि अच्छा भैया क्या चल रहा है, सब ठीक चल रहा है, एंड आप क्या करोगे, तो हाँ मैं काम कर रहा हूँ. तो उन्होंने बोला कि अरे यू डू द सेम वर्क थ्रू आउट द डे एंड सारा दिन आप यहाँ पे बैठते हो, कस्टमर्स भी नहीं आते हैं, क्या बोर नहीं होते हो? नो, डोंट यू गेट बोर्ड sitting at the same place doing the same things, and then there are less customers also throughout the day? Don't you get bored? And this person answered a very interesting thing which he shared with me. He said, भैया बोर होना क्या होता है? What do you mean by getting bored? बोर होना होता क्या है? And that was it. Now, I always feel that me keep on telling, and I felt so guilty in myself at that particular moment. Ki we as individuals who have, studied a lot, and then, we call ourselves as the literate class or whatever, and then we have created all these stuff, right? Getting bored, feeling this, feeling that, and then beautiful word, Neha, Miss Neha, that contended. And then there is so much contentness inside people that we can't even think about it, and we are still running ki kya karna hai, kya nahi karna hai. Mentally and socially first, yes, Miss Beena. So that's what I want to talk about. So when I talk about happiness, I usually have these three things in my mind, which are, and I would love you all of you to choose A, B, C. Is happiness for you an emotion? It's a mode or mood, or it's a state of mind? What do you think is happiness? Is it an emotion, a mood, or is it a state of mind? So I have C, 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 A, C. Nobody's picking up the B part. Okay. A or C, and majority are going for C. Okay. Let's see the votes. Okay. So it's a mix of, so we have a B also. Now, when I look into happiness, I always feel it all depends on the mood and mode that your emotions and your state of mind get affected. What kind of state you are in, what kind of situation you are in, what kind of positioning you are in, you are able to govern your emotions and state of mind. Now, you can have a different opinion. That's perfectly okay. I respect that. And if we have more time someday, we can sit like philosophers and then we can have a long discussion. I hope we have that day someday. We can have those intelligent, intellectual discussions on these thoughts. However, when we talk about technically and we talk about the emotions and the moods, it's a neurophilosophical process. What your thoughts are, what your emotions are, how your physical energy is feeling. We cannot feel happy if we are in pain. The pain also adds a lot of sadness into our day-to-day life, into our section. And what happiness is there in a happy brain, or what happens in a happy brain, is something we want to talk about, which is there. How we perceive, how we evaluate, how we express, and how we control our emotions. That's all come inside a happy brain. Now, I'm taking it quickly because I have a lot of points to add which will validate all these statements by end of the session. So this is just me taking you in a direction of what we want to talk about. Now, happiness is technically a better brain functioning. When we talk about, you have better brain functioning and you have more of happiness, and that is why we say that happy classrooms release a lot of good hormones, which like dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, all the happy hormones that genuinely help us in understanding our students better or helping us feeling better. Now, if you're sitting in a class which is very strict and very conservative and very tight in schedule, it's by end of the day you will feel drained out. But if you're sitting in a classroom where everything is happy and then you're cheerful and then students are happy, teachers are happy, then we end up having a lot of less stressed classroom. The more happier you are, the more learning you will have. Now, if many of you sitting in this room in this meeting with me right now are genuinely worried about the lunch or the dinner or the next activity that you have to do, or you are forced to sit here just for the certificate part, then you will not feel that happy. But then if you have come with the thought that let's have some fun, let's have some, enjoyment, then I'm pretty sure some learning is going to happen by the end of this session as we finish it. So let's go ahead and learn more in that direction, that how happiness affects learning. So when I talk about happiness affected learning, we have positive emotions that enhance focus, creativity, collaboration, communication. However, the moment you have negative emotions, you will not have memory recall issues. You will have participation issues. You have classroom discipline issues. Have you ever had that, that feeling when you were very low, maybe in a crying phase? And please trust me, crying is not bad. It's very beautiful. It's a state of emotion which should be allowed to express both in male and females equally. Now, and then you have that low moment, and then you're expressing yourself, and then you try to think something, you cannot think it. You cannot think it. You cannot focus at all. And imagine a child who has just been scolded by the teacher, and the teacher is saying, you cannot do anything, you are not good for anything. And then how do you expect that child to sit there and concentrate and learn anything and absorb everything? I had a situation. My son used to go to this abacus class. She was a friend of mine, a known person of mine. And then it was before or during COVID phase, I remember. And my son was very young at that time. And then he went to the class and he came back home. And then he was very disappointed and very low in energy. Like, what happened, Jahan? And he was like, Mama, is 40, I think he had got some, is 14 out of 20 less marks? Is 14 out of 20 less? Like, no, Baba, it's very nice. It's very big. No, my ma'am says you're getting just 14, you will not pass anything. You cannot learn. And that was the last day I sent him to that class. And last day he also decided he's not going to go back to that class because he was not convinced in in that approach. And the second thing, and another example I will just give with you. Recently, today, my I asked my son and daughter that you have to clean your tables and then you have to clean the room. And then while they were doing that activity, they both started fighting, yeah, as usual, siblings. So they were actually doing. And my son is the elder one, and they both are very young. And the son, the elder one, see, तू मुझे रिस्पेक्ट नहीं करती, तू मुझे रिस्पेक्ट करा कर, मैं तेरे से बड़ा हूँ. So, and she was spontaneously answered him back, and she was like, पहले तू respect कर, फिर respect की उम्मीद कर. And I was like, you respect first, and then you ask for respect. If you can't give me respect, don't expect respect from me. And it was, I could, argue and say that, okay, in our society, we have taught our children to, respect elders. But then I kind of contemplated, no, she deserves equal respect from him, the amount of respect he deserves. And that was a right statement. So while we will be talking about these sessions and these things, I would love to discuss all this with all of you, and we are going to talk about it. Um, Now, this is one thing I would love to ask all of you. What are the emotions that used to pump in you when you used to think about school as a child? Emotions. So, you have to go to school on Monday or the next day. What is the emotion that is kind of jumping in your mind? One, let's have your answers. Sad, excitement that I should be encouraged, meeting friends, okay? Wow feeling, Rajni is there, happy, meeting friends, positivity, excited. Meeting friends, feeling happy. So I think we have mixed emotions of homework. I think homework was one emotion. I don't know if it was an emotion or it was a task pressure, which was there in my mind. Even as a child, I would agree to that. Curiosity. I think I was more than being in the school, I was happy about that I'm going to meet my friends. That was the excitement. I usually never was excited was that wow, my teacher is going to teach me something new. The emotion was usually, my goodness, now we'll have more chapter to learn and more questions to answer. So the school teaching was a stress, but the friends were the exciting part. That's my thing. I think you all could have some. Riddhi says that she was excited by new things. Great. Why I have to study maths? Okay, Devki, I used to have my. I love my ma'am. I think Harpreet ma'am. Thank you very much for teaching me. I will tell her. But then I was always scared that why do we have to go there at that time to meeting a friend? So we all had this mixed emotion. Now, what do you think? Then, uh, what do you think are the emotions that we are pumping into our children? Feel fear about teachers, study properly, marks. These are the emotions. And let's talk in a collective front, not just you as a person. You can also represent us as a whole system. That what we are doing. Grades, courage, okay. Showing up matters, beautiful. Respect, discipline, okay. It's there. So these are the kind of emotion, and they're not just emotion, there's also behavioral rules that all of you are talking about with emotions right now. So, but we'll not go into the vocabulary that extent. And I have this last question from the series that what are the emotions that you feel when you are going to your job as a teacher? So when you are going to school, what is that thing that you're feeling? So we have, okay, so the question was, what do you feel when you're going as a teacher? And be honest, be honest. Work needs to be done to control hyperactive children, not to control, but to manage and be with them. Challenges, okay. You see, feel happy. Daily morning, you decide you're not going to be raising your voice to be professional, all day challenges, not every day, but we all have these moments. Giving everything to our children, motivated, will feel happy. How to manage children, giving. Now, if all of you are feeling excited about going to school and you're not getting pushed, then I feel so happy about it. I will tell you a small story, and it's distraction from my PPT, but I always do that. So let me just go ahead and share the small incident with you. So ये बड़ी प्यारी एक कहानी है, and I think I would love to share in Hindi if it's that okay. I will try to do a bilingual thing for all of you. तो एक बार क्या हुआ कि एक आदमी है, एक बकरी को लेके जा रहा था। बकरी आप सबको पता होगा। तो एक आदमी बकरी के गले में रस्सी बांध के उसको जोर से खींच रहा है कि चलो चलो चलो, ऐसा करके ना लेके जा रहा है। तो एक छोटी लड़की है, वो वहां से निकल रही है। तो वो अपने पापा को बोलती है, पापा देखो देखो। एंड अब क्या है ना, छोटे बच्चे बोलते रहते हैं, पापा देखो देखो। एंड स्मॉल ऑल स्मॉल चिल्ड्रन डू दैट. Okay, I will try, Anita, I will try to speak in English for this one. So sorry, I will just do the translation now. So there was a person who was taking a goat along with him, and this person was actually trying to pull the goat with a rope, and he was strongly pulling the goat. Now this small girl, she saw this person pulling the goat, and she was just kind of poking her father. Papa, look, look, what is this, what is this? And the father ignored. Now the father was holding the arm of a child and was carrying that child with him throughout the journey, and the daughter was like, Papa, look, look, look. And the father was not paying much attention, so the father kind of ignored that matter again. Now this girl saw, and they both were standing at a bus stop, and now this girl saw his father, and then she was like, and then she turned around her head, and she saw the man again pulling that goat, and the goat was showing a bit of resistance and was not going ahead. So the girl came ahead and told her father that, Papa, I feel the goat is going to school. The goat is going to school. Now when I am talking with all of you and we are having that discussion, at times I feel, I'm not sure, that goat is my teachers or my students who are actually having that, resistance to go to school. And at times I feel that that's what my children feel. And that's what the new education policy also felt, that children at times were not feeling excited about going to school. And the only way that can be managed is to have a concept of happy classrooms and teachers who are actually there. So there are certain goals I would love to talk about when we talk about happiness and how do we do that. So happy, for me, a happy teacher is equivalent to a happy classroom. And today's session, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you 5-step strategy which can help you out in understanding your children, which can help you out in understanding and developing a happy classroom right away with them. So that's what we're going to do. I hope we are ready with the 5-step strategy. Can I have a thumbs up that we would love to understand? And I hope those who were feeling a bit, in the a bit sleepy in the beginning are now still participating. Okay. So the first step for me when I talk about the happy classroom is self-regulation and self-awareness. So we talk about self-awareness and self-regulation. A person who is not aware about himself or herself is very difficult to be regulated. And if you cannot regulate your own energy, then we are at a trouble. It comes with a very nice concept in there's a Japanese concept I cannot get hold in my mind, but I know the story behind it. So in India, if you would have seen, when anyone does mistake and anything happens, so they will come ahead and they will say that don't worry, it happened by mistake. I never meant to do that. It happened by mistake. I never meant to hurt it, or I never meant to touch you or push you. It happened by mistake. So 90% of the times we we say that, okay, don't say anything to the child, it happened by mistake, or don't say anything, it happened by mistake by me. They have a philosophy, and listen to that philosophy carefully. Their philosophy says, if they have a child who comes back home that, sorry mama, it happened by mistake, I never meant to do that, they're actually worried about that child. And the reason is, if you yourself don't know that what you have done, and you cannot regulate your body or your emotions or your words while saying certain things to anyone, and then just cover it up by saying, I'm sorry, it happened by mistake, it's not done. Because a person who is not aware about himself or herself in their body posture, in their walking, in their behavior, is at a higher risk of failing compared to a person who is conscious about whatever they are doing throughout the day. So self-consciousness is something they try to inculcate in kids from a very young stage, and unfortunately, we don't do that. So the first thing I think you should begin, and all of us should begin, and you should start asking these questions to your children also, these three questions that I know when I'm feeling frustrated, I understand what motivates me or overwhelms me. I reflect on my actions and their impacts. I will give you an example from my personal life. Uh, I have been at a stage in my career, in my life, I have worked literally 14 hours in calculation throughout the day. And the only time I was not working was I was sleeping or having food or stuff, 14 to 16 hours. Now, when you are young at your beginning of your career, you can do all this stuff. But then ultimately, your body has a cycle, your body has a biological clock, and the body will get tired. Now, when the body get tired, the mind get tired. The moment the mind get tires, it also triggers all your worse emotions in you. So you will start behaving in a way that is getting triggered one after the other because your body is losing control. Now, initially, I never used to realize that, but then slowly I started reflecting, okay, why did I shout at that moment? Or why did I get angry at that moment? Could the same statement have been communicated in a better way and mode? And when am I losing my temperament? And I started making a list of stuff that, okay, during this period, when I'm hungry, like for me, when I'm hungry, like I'm hungry, the same way the ad goes, and I know that I have to keep on feeding myself, otherwise I'm actually hungry, but then I will, start pointing out someone else in that anger. So that's the self-regulation section that or self-awareness section that begins with. Now, once you know that you are aware about that particular, awareness section of your body, the next segment that start with self-regulation. First, know about your body, about yourself, about your emotions, what triggers any kind of good or bad emotion in you. Then you start beginning with pausing before reacting. That's a very nice practice that I've done in my life, at least. And I'm sharing whatever I'm sharing with you. It's all coming from practice and some learnings from experts that I've had in my life. Now, I pause before reacting to anything. I choose words carefully. So I know that there are words and you cannot take words back. So you have to be careful about it. You adjust tone, you adjust body language, and then you are ready for setbacks. So what you have to do is you have to be much more, aware about yourself. And you have to understand that another thing, you are not your weakness, you are your strength. So it could be your weakness that, you can just say that, I'm almost spontaneous and I can say anything. That's actually a strength. It's just that you need to regulate it and make sure that when you are sharing it, you are not offending anyone. And whatever you are sharing, you should also reflect back and think about, am I okay with this behavior if it happens to me? And that is where the whole regulation begins. Now, be aware about how you feel. And I have done a small activity. I would love you to try and do it with your children. I started doing it when I saw certain low faces in my own kids, behavior and school routine. So I decided, let me try one small thing. I would, because we cannot perform this activity right away, but when you finish this session with me, I would love you to go back and do this activity. I call this a happiness index that I've created myself. And I've created it just to have a measure of that, how happiness feels like. So you can take a screenshot of this particular section. So my expectation is that on a graph, create a graph, and on a scale of 1 to 10, so you start from 1 and you go till 10, you have to mark 1 as very sad and 10 as extremely happy. And then you have to make this graph of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in that way. and you will come up with a happiness scale. This is an overlapping scale that of week one, week two, week three, week four, like the happiness scale that I've done a rough chart of a happiness scale. Now, what am I doing is I'm actually tracking that how happy I was feeling on Monday versus Tuesday versus Wednesday versus Thursday. So you can keep a small diary of, Chanda, you can do it for all students. So what you can do is you can ask all your children in the beginning of the week that let's track our happiness. And they can keep a small diary and a small, and you can actually have happy notebooks, or you can have this self-regulation notebooks. We all should have these happiness classrooms or curriculum in our school. So you can always do that, and you can ask children to start with it. It will give them a self-regulation and self-reflection opportunity, and they will understand what being happy and what being sad means. Unfortunately, specifically in males, as I've seen as I grew up, I have seen that they don't realize that how to feel sad or cry or feel low in emotions. Now, Chandra, you have a very nice question that, Ma'am, I have 49 students. See, what you have to do is you just make this graph in your class on, it actually takes 5 minutes to do this activity, to be honest. And you have to ask children to maintain their own notebooks in their own files. They have to maintain it. You don't have to do it for them. So, and it is a self-reflection. It is not to be shared with anyone until unless the child wants to share with you. It's a self-reflection, and then we talk about it. So, what we are trying to do, learn from here is when we usually talk about what happiness looks like, we feel that, ha ha ha. See, many of you, okay, many of you have shared with those happy emojis with me. Now, many people think that the people who are shouting and then growling and then, growling and all the time are happy. And, that is happiness. Then, ha ha, ho ho, and then the big smile on the face. Now, how many of you agree with me that, ma'am, this is happiness? Is this happiness? No, this is actually a smile. I can be crying from within, and then I can be, "Ah, I have to be happy." We have seen so many households and so many places where people are fighting, and then all of a sudden a relative comes, aye, 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 come to our home, and then we are all wearing those happy faces. This is just a smile. This can be on a sad human being also. It can be pasted on that sad human being also. This is not happiness. This is just this just gesture to showcase happiness, but just there. And right now it's an artificial smile for sure, Pranjita. Mostly I'm smiling in a genuine way. But the happiness is the inner peace. And when we look at the happiness, you have to understand when you will look at your happiness scale throughout the week, it is something like this. There will be happy moments, then you will have some dull moments, you will have some anger and frustrated moments also, and then there are moments when you don't want to feel anything, and then there are moments you're excited throughout the week, throughout the day, throughout the hour. At the same moment, we can feel different emotions based on what we are thinking, what we are experiencing. In a 3 hour movie, you go ahead and you watch a movie which is 3 hours long, you can feel all emotions, and they touch base on all your emotions. That's how the movie industry works. And that's how our real life emotions also work. So the happiness is not like this. But the important thing to remember is always in the scale that it should come back to its rising position. It should come back to its rising position. If it's not coming back, that's a problem area. There's a country in Africa, what they do is, and I do the same thing for myself also. They allow people, so if somebody is in grief, somebody is having a bad time, they will ask them, okay, can you please be sad for a while? If somebody is in grief, they don't disturb them. They let them cry for a day or 2 days. But after 24 hours, or I think after 2 days, they will come back and ask this person to stop crying and be the right fellow. And I do it with myself. I can remain consistently sad only for 24 hours. If 24 hours are done, I will tell to myself, Surbi, 24 hours are done. What are you doing? You have a lot of work to do. Come back and gather yourself back, and then you have to go back to the work. So that's how, for me, also emotions work. So what we have to remember is that the important part, pure happiness is one which is eternal. You always feel it all day long. You don't have to tell people I'm happy. You're just happy. And it's inside you. There may be no happy phases, and happy phases are for me more of the excited phases, but there can be a position when there is no sad phase either, and you are just in a balance of being calm and composed, and somebody used the word contented, throughout. That's what important is. However, despite all this happiness, the important part for you to remember is, and please remember these two terms and take them back to your children, take them back to your own life, but more to your children, that you have to teach your children these two important things, which is managing fallouts. There will be phases, there will be positions when we will be hurt, when we will feel that we have lost everything. You have teenage students, they will have a lot of heartbreaks, they will have a lot of situations. You have small children, they have disruptions in their family with their parents, and they're looking at all this emotion, or they will have fights with their friends, that you are not my friend anymore, or my friends have left me, now they are a separate group, I am a separate group. For you it's a small thing, for them it is the word. That's what you have to remember. So, what you have to teach them is metacognition and resilience. These should be the two words which should be top of your happy classrooms. That this is what I'm going to teach my children. Now, what is metacognition? Uh, it's just a strategy where a learner learns that the situations around me will keep on changing, and I have to become strong enough to develop adaptability around it. And we have to understand that adaptation is important. It all goes back to Darwin, but that's true. And they have to start learning metacognition at school because nobody is going to teach them. But for me, my favorite is resilience. How to get back when you fail, how to get bounce back when you fail, how to get back when you are on down on your toes is known as resilience. How do you get that effect back? That is resilience for me, and that's what you have to go back and teach your children, that it's okay to fail, but it's more important to know how to get back, how to strong on your feet. You are not the only one, you can rise better again. That's resilience, and that's what you should be teaching them. So I hope the step one is very clear. We talk about self-regulation, we talk about self-awareness, and then we also learn about happiness index, and we talk about, managing our emotions with, the happy, resilience and metacognition. Take those two words back with you. We'll enter into the second part, self-acceptance and self-love. Self-acceptance and self-love. Now, I will be telling you one interesting thing. See, when I was young, and you don't understand the importance of life at that time, and then I'm into my mid 30s right now, and then you have a different viewpoint of life. I'm pretty sure if I long enough, then I will have a different point of view in my mid 60s or 70s when I enter into that phase. So when you reflect back and you look at your life, you keep on growing, and you should grow as a person. But unfortunately, what I have been looking in today's world, majority of our children, they don't have self-acceptance. They don't accept themselves for who they are. Uh, there is a term which we use in finance, which is known as financial crisis. I believe in today's world, most of us, and not at least not our generation completely, but at least our younger generation, or these kids who are into the alpha, beta, or what all generations, they are suffering from one thing which is known as identity crisis. Yes, Rafia, identity crisis. That's what our kids are suffering from. So what we can do to help them out is building up that identity capital. We can help them out by building an identity capital with self acceptance. They should learn to embrace themselves, their strength, their weakness, acknowledge them, accept them. But it's not like, so there's a very interesting dispute which comes to it, that ma'am, if one child who is not performer, and we tell them, okay, accept yourself, you are not a performer, is that okay? No, it's not okay. It's the way you say things. If you tell somebody, say you cannot do it, so it's okay, accept it. It's not the thing. It's just telling them that, okay, today you are standing here, but you can grow one step and one step and one step. So, in terms of marks or quantitatively, we have to tell you, if I'm telling a child who's getting 45% that you are not good because you're getting 45%, you have to reach the level of 90%. That's way beyond the targets that I'm giving. But I tell a child at 45 that why don't you try and come at 47? Why don't you jump a bit and try at 50? You can do it. That's a different level of acceptance. Me accepting that child and the child accepting that that child. Yes, Shimoja, parents should all get these classes. So that's what we want to understand. Self acceptance is saying, I may not be perfect, but I am worthy of love, respect, and care. That is self acceptance. The second is see at yourself before you see in. I have known people, we don't even, now don't take it wrong. I want you to, all the philosophies will say, apne andar jhanko, look inside yourself. What do you think? Arey, it's very difficult to think what you are inside. It's very difficult to think. But before that, you have to see in the mirror. Go back after this activity today. Don't open up your phones right away and start looking at the cameras, but go back and look at yourself and accept that who you are. Accept the body, accept the soul that you have been blessed with, and accept this small activity. I do a small activity with little children. I give them mirrors and I ask them, okay, just try and look at yourself in that small mirror and try to know yourself and see yourself carefully. Because that is the self acceptance, telling them that you are perfect and you're beautiful. That's what we do. And finally, taking care of yourself before we start taking care of someone else. I love that line in the in the flights. They say, before you help somebody, make sure that you're wearing your own mask. A tired body, a tired soul cannot look after anyone. This there was I had a session last week. We were doing the session on science, and then this teacher came to me, ma'am, it's so difficult. We have schedules. I told her that, see, if you have pain in your legs and if your back is paining, you cannot be happy in the classroom. You cannot be. No human being can be. It's very difficult. If I am in a lot of pain, I can act being happy for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but I cannot do it throughout the day because the pain is excruciating on my body. So, what do? I actually make my body fit. I have a role. My role is to stand for 6 hours in a day. That's my job profile, and I have signed for it because it is needed. Otherwise, my children will not feel connected with me. Now, in order to survive that role, I have to walk my 10,000 step. I have to do my yoga. I have to do my meditation. I have to do all the things that are needed to survive. It's the same way if you are a TV actress or if you are Janvi Kapoor or Priyanka Chopra, if you have a show to attend in the morning and you have to look beautiful, you will make sure your sleep is done, but you have to also maintain your weight at the right time. You will not have excuses that you see I have a very busy schedule, so I cannot do exercise. So that's important. And that's where self-love comes. We want to develop a culture of self-love. Now, how do you do that? I will skip directly to the portion where I can give you tips. 24 minutes from 24 hours of your schedule. If you cannot spare 24 minutes from 24 hours of your schedule, you cannot have that self love reflecting in yourself. You have to have 24 minutes for yourself. That is the most important part, that you have to start thinking now and start stealing that. Okay, 24 minutes I need for my own self. Even if you have to sit in the bathroom and then just be quiet and then just be peaceful, you write something, you draw something, you paint something, or you go for a walk all alone, but it should be a solo activity done by you, or the same thing for your children. Next, obviously, I think all of us, we have been shouting badly and we all keep on saying digital detox are, try one thing, try to have at least 1 hour of your awake time without a digital thing. Okay, some of you need the attendance sheet. Please don't worry. I think the session is continuing for another 15 minutes and we'll share the attendance sheet then. So within next 10 minutes or so, the team will share it. Okay. So yes, Ms. Tina, every day we should have some me time, and that's for sure that we keep on saying and we keep on saying, sharing with everyone. Now, the next thing I would love to share is my personal favorite, the black box. Now, listen carefully because this is my favorite analogy, and it's something I kept on thinking about, and I kept on thinking about humans and emotions, and I created this analogy, which is the black box. I hope all of you know what is a black box. Just give me a yes if you know what's a black box. Okay, Charu, I will let you know. Okay. Yes, it's in the aeroplane. Somebody has written. So what happens? The aeroplanes have a black box. It's actually not black. It's highly fluorescent in nature. Now we call it a black box because it's made of a very hard material, and even if and all the communication, everything that is happening on plane, that's recorded in that black box. Now, what happens if a plane crashes or some bad incident happens? What they do is they try and recover the black box, and usually in that recovery they're able to see that, or listen to the calls or everything that is recorded, that what exactly happened in that plane. So usually it's meant for that purpose. Now, I always say that we all humans, we have a black box inside us. We all have a black box inside us, to be very honest. Now, this black box keeps on consuming all the emotions, all the things that we listen from hundred of or thousands of people that are surrounded with us, some known to us, some unknown to us. Even when you are going on a road and you had a bad phase, or you're just passing by very happy, and then there is somebody who will just say some bad thing to you, that gets registered, and all the things that you're listening or you have said or passed, it gets registered. Now what happens, uh, you would have seen there are a lot of people who are in a habit that who will talk throughout the day that, okay, this happened with me, that happened with me, and they keep on communicating. But there are a lot of people who will not share anything, and they will keep things to themselves. They will not speak about anything. Now what happens, that keeps on accumulating in that box. Now we all have a black box. Even if you are sharing everything with everyone, you still have a black box where you will make sure that some of the things you are not sharing with anyone, and they are recorded in some, some logged unit in the brain. Now that is the black box I'm talking about. I would like you to occasionally open up that box, start sharing few things, and keep few things as secret for yourself. You don't want to put yourself in a vulnerable position, but start opening that black box and start sharing. If you don't share, that's a basic human thing. You will have enter into slowly a phase of feeling left out, feeling disconnected. A later stage of depression is very heavy term, I would rather say, but a stage where you are very low. So that's what you have to start feeling. Yeah, I'm not using the word depressed because it's we easily say depressed, but depressed is a very technical scientific term which I don't want to use here. So that's the black box that you have to open up and ask, and you can have this activity for your children, black box sharing activity, that they come and share something which is very close to them and they felt or they meant about. So that's something that you can talk about. We also say that there is a science of smiles, that somebody said smiles are contagious. And yes, the smiles are contagious, and you can always have these smiles with your children. Now we enter into the next part, which is the step 3, which is known as identify happiness source and stress parameter. So what you have to do is regularly you have to go back and talk with your children, talk to yourself that what my happiness source is, or what your happiness source is, what your stress source is, what makes you happy, what makes you stress. So that beyond self-regulation, it's a very good activity to do. Okay, you feel happy when you are dancing, you feel happy when you are talking to someone, you feel happy when you're sleeping. What is making you happy? It will completely govern your behavior and your action. And obviously, look for happiness without a cause and not happiness with a cause. This is a beautiful term which I love by Khalil Gibran. He's one of my favorite author of all time. I think he has kind of, this person has narrowed down questions to all answers in the word. Your joy and sorrow is inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep in your bed. It's like a balance wheel, and we are at the center of it. If you come back and tell me that, ma'am, I just need happiness in my life or joyness in my life and no sorrow, or and no sorry at all, I think I will not believe it. It will come and as a balance of in your life. So we talk about various things. We'll enter into step 4. I just have 2 steps to finish with you quickly. Now, in step 4, we usually talk about emotional regulation and how do I do that? See, there are various ways. So there will be moments when you feel bad and sad, and then you want to shout out and you want to say things, and you're not able to do that on people. So obviously, that's the way things become bad and not good. So we always say that don't do that. So what we do is we can do a lot of regulatory activities. How can we do that? And how can we prevent burnouts? So one, if you're at a home environment and then you're feeling stressed, or you're or in anger or in sadness, start walking. Go for a walk. Literally go for a walk. Your the tips of your fingers and the tips of your toes, they have a lot of energy. And the moment you start walking or you start exercising, not exercising, but a gentle walk is very useful at that time. Your body starts relaxing and releasing hormones, which actually reduces your stress at that time. It's a very nice activity. It also gives you enough time to reflect back on what you said or what the other person has said, and then calm yourself during that phase instead of ending into a quick phase of a fight or a reaction which was not needed. So you have to respond, but then you have to respond in a very thoughtful way, that who said whom, because we usually remember things what others said. We completely forget what we said. And the arguments and fights are usually in a in a dual way. So that's another thing. And obviously a lot of breathing techniques which can help you. I think you must be aware about this box breathing technique, which is very famous. You inhale 4 seconds, you hold 4 seconds, you exhale 4 seconds, you hold 4 seconds, and then again you inhale 4 seconds. So it's a box breathing technique. You can also start with this activity in the beginning of your day. When we talk about emotional regulations, also there's a lot of emotions which are locked in our body. So I used to remember when I used to work in one of the schools as a HOD, and then we used to have a lot of stuff, and then my founder professors. So he used to say this beautiful thing: children have a lot of energy, just let them be out. So we started this interesting activity. The beginning of the day used to be screaming activity for kindergarten. So you are allowed to scream for 1.5 or 2 minutes. Why? Because there's a limit to a level a person can scream, and the children used to scream and run away and go away, and then beautifully, this activity was conducted. And then throughout the day, at least for first 2 3 periods, they used to be calm because they have already exhausted their energy. So that we used to be doing. Then we talk about refraining thoughts, for instance, shifting perception from negative spiral to balanced thinking, and replace "this is a disaster, this is hard, but I have handled" words. So you start with that situation. The final step I would love all of you to inculcate in your life is, it's my favorite, which is empathy and gratitude. The more empathetical you are, the better you will think. Now, this is a final question I would love to ask all of you. There are I'm giving you a situation. Now, the situation says, your father promised you for a movie but could not fulfill the promise. Okay. Your father promised you for a movie but could not fulfill the promise. How would you feel about it? Okay. Sad, bad, feel sad, wait patiently, a little sad, disappointed. So we all have this unhappy, disappointed. So, which is there. Now, let's think from the other side now. How would your father would have felt about it? It's very difficult to differentiate the answers that you are answering my first question or the second. Guilty. Okay, start from there. Obviously, bad, regret, sad to father. Okay, more bad, feel bad. And or your mother has promised you or your father has promised you, and the emotion. Now, that is the most beautiful part of emotional regulation and discussion. This is a question you should take to your classroom and ask your children that, your parents promised you something they could not fulfill. How do you feel about it? I feel bad about it. Do you think your parents feels good about it? Even they feel bad about it. So the moment you are feeling bad about something, the other person is also feeling bad about something. It's a rare scenario in a love cycle in a family where one person is sad and the other is feeling happy about it. Oh, मैंने इसको उदास कर दिया, so I'm very happy about it. It never happens. It's a mutual contract. So what you have to make your children understand and yourself is that the both parties feel sad. It's just that they're not talking each other and not telling you that, see, you are sad, even I'm sad, and I'm sorry, and I'm feeling guilty about it. And that's how you connect. And all the parents over here, stop feeling guilty about not doing and being every time available for your child. Please stop being guilty about it. You have to communicate and let them know that you have work to do, you have things to do, and they have to understand. And trust me, they are very mature these days. They understand. We were very bad children. To be very honest, we were never emotionally, we never used to understand this stuff, but our kids are much more smarter these days. And how, as a school, you can actually create this environment is, obviously you have to do a lot of training for yourself, for the staff. You have to engage families. And somebody said, we have to do this for parents. Yes, you have to do this for parents. You have to make them understand as well. You have to prioritize mental health. You have to talk about social and emotional skills, and you need to have a lot of discussions with your children. Now, you don't have to be positive all the time. Please remember, it's perfect to be okay, to feel sad, angry, annoyed, frustrated, scared, or anxious. Having feeling doesn't make you a negative person, it makes you human. So that's all, teachers. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. And I hope you could apply it as per the, the the new education policy and what all it talks about, and it can add a lot of things to your kitty. So thank you. If you have any questions, I can take for another 2 minutes if you have anything. Otherwise, we'll finish the session.
Thank you so much, Surbi ma'am, for such an insightful session. So, educators, if you're having any questions that you want to ask, you can put your queries in the chat box. If you have any questions that you want to ask, no queries. A lot of thank you we are getting.
Thank you for your wishes. Just let's end with the emoji you feel now. I hope it's not the sleepy emoji by end of the session.
Thank you so much, Surbi ma'am, for that deeply grounding and insightful session. You have shown us how small mindful practices can transform stress into clarity for both teachers and students and create classrooms where emotional balance supports better learning. So, educators, we'll take a short break now and return at 4:30 p.m. For our second session, Fostering a Growth Mindset in Classrooms with Ms. Aditya Chaganti. In that session, we will explore how to help learners embrace challenges, value effort, and see mistakes as stepping stones to success. See you back in a few minutes. Don't go away. Our next session will start at 4:30 p.m. Thank you, educators, all of you, for joining us.